Hi, my name is Ashwani. 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 I know that is a hard name to pronounce. People don't get it. They cannot pronounce my name. Someone calls me Ashwani. Few guys calls me Ashwini. Most of the times I try to correct them because that's my name and that's my identity. But sometimes I think it's okay not to bother people and let it be. Anyways, I love it because it's my name. This is the name that is given by my mother. I ask her why she chose my name. She says it's a name of a god. So that makes sense. I mean, like someone is named Jesus in a Christian community. I think that's special. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so anyways, this video is going to be about me and my thoughts on happiness. So let's start from the beginning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So here's my story. I was a happy child all my life. I still am. Even if I did not have all the things of the world, I was always smiling. Because the amount of things that was provided to me was always enough for me to be at least a happy boy. Because you can have all the things of the world with you and you can still complain. That doesn't mean I did not complain of not having things that my friends had. At the end, I was still just a child. By the way, that was me and my little brother. As a human being, you can always try and take the best out of your situation in life. But life is about growing older and experiencing new things, and also it's about how you react to it. As I grew bigger and older every day, my small problems became bigger. I could not handle my problems very well, and hence my life became tougher, which made me irritated and angry. I was still enjoying every bit and trying to take the best out of my life, but I know something was not right. I took a lot of bad decisions and never learned from it. Took many bad habits. With that, I had a low self esteem and an unwanted ego. In 2014, I learned about photography but never followed it because I gave more importance to my habits. Basically, I was reckless in everything, and so I was unhappy within from inside. Last year, something happened with me that changed my life. It changed my way of seeing the world and my existence in it. The story started with a night which led to an unexpected adventure. So unexpected that at one point I thought I could never return from it. That evening, I was done with my office and went for a house party at my friend's house. After our party that night, like always, a point came. A point where we started discussion about our frustration from our job. We started to discuss about our dreams and unfulfilled desires. Suddenly, I picked up my phone, booked a cab for the airport. I took my office bag, left my friend's home at 1 o'clock in the night. Reached the airport, asked for the ticket of the next plane leaving the city. That ticket counter lady gave me an intense look, but no ticket. She demanded me to put down a definite place and tell her the name of the place. Without it, she was not going to give me any ticket. Unfortunately, I did not have my passport, so I could not go to any place outside India. I gave it a thought and I told her the first name that came in my mind. It was Darjeeling, the city of hill station, the queen of hill stations.
Once upon a younger year, when all our shadows disappeared, the animals inside came out to play.
Took the flight and reached Kolkata.
Learned our lessons through the tears, made memories.
It was a break journey. After 5 hours, I was on my way to Darjeeling.
One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away.
Reached the Bagdogra airport. Took a cab from there and I hit the mountains.
He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will.
And soon I was in the vacation mood.
Told me when I was just
It was dark when I reached Darjeeling, the queen of hill stations. Suddenly the cold hit me. And then I realized that I didn't bring any spare clothes with me. I had with me my single red t-shirt, jeans, and a shoe which I was already wearing. That's it. I was carrying a backpack with my office laptop and an external keyboard inside it. I don't have any idea why I brought that external keyboard in such a journey. I went to the market and bought myself a jacket and scarf in the first place. Got little warm and got my senses back. Next 2 days, I went to the usual places in the city. The city market, Darjeeling Zoo, and a tea garden. There was a sweet auntie that I met while I went to the tea garden. She invited me to her home and offered me tea and her interesting stories. She told me stories about her family, the stories of the landslides and the earthquakes that she and her family had experienced. One evening, she with her family were sleeping inside their house. Their house was just in the bottom of the hill where the mountain ends. Few minutes after the dinner, the power went off. Suddenly, from their window, they saw some people running and shouting that there was a landslide. They ran towards the exit door, but the door was locked. They looked for the key, but because the power was down, it was dark, so they couldn't find the key. They had 2 rooms in the house, and ultimately they decided 2 members will hide under the bed in one room and other 2 in the second room. You would ask why. I asked the same question to her, to which she replied, by doing that, the chance of survival of their bloodline would increase. After all this got over, they stepped out of their home and noticed a truck-sized stone sitting just 3 feet away from their house. Just 3 feet. That night, they were lucky, but their neighbor wasn't. The landslide swallowed her neighbor's house, and everybody in the house was dead. What kind of tea is this?
Okay,
Here she was explaining me about different types of tea.
so I want to show you. Where's the TP? Okay. Super fine TP golden flowery orange pico 1. Thank you.
Nice. While leaving, she went to her shop, picked up a couple of chocolates, and handed me over with a smile. I smiled back, and I left. While I was in the garden that day, my friend, who was my then room partner, called me and informed me that he will be joining me in this adventure. I was thrilled. I was so happy. 3 hours later, he called me to inform me that he missed the flight. I already made some plans. My plans were in vain now. I was sad. I got back from garden to the hotel and spent the evening in the city, sitting alone in a restaurant. And eventually, I cheered myself for the next day. I cheered myself for an adventure. Because that's what I came to do in the first place. To do something different, something unusual. Next morning, I went to the town hall and had a breakfast. And sitting there, I found this unusual place in the Google, and it was just near Darjeeling. I mean, just above it. It was a national park in Darjeeling. I booked a cab for Singalila National Park. Actually, I booked it for the highest peak of the national park. It was a peak named Sandakphu. It was a Himalayan village at a height of 3600 meters from sea level, and which was around 1600 meters above than Darjeeling, where I was. The interesting part of that place was, if I reached there, I could see four of the highest five peaks in the world. I was also accompanied by these three lovely people. They drive their own taxi there. These three strangers left their job for the day, came with me just to show me around. We started from Darjeeling next morning and reached a village named Manebhanjang, the land of Land Rovers. To pick our Land Rovers. Yes, without Land Rovers, we could not drive in those steep and narrow roads. We traveled many villages in the transit and met with so many local Himalayan people. They are lovely people. There was nothing different in talking with those locals. They were just like me, just like us. They ate almost the same food. Luckily, they spoke the same language I speak, and eventually, they looked like me. But one thing was different. Their stories. Their stories were different and new. Stories of Himalayan vultures weighing up to 36 kgs. Stories of mountain cats killing village people. The stories from herb collecting people of the mountains. Some people inviting us to have food and drinks with them at their home. Few sharing stories about their relatives dying by falling from the same hills. I was a foreigner to them, but they treated me as a family. We ate yak cheese, yak milk, saw a Himalayan panda, petted a Tibetan mastiff. We discovered a unique border between India and Nepal, which passes through a village drain.
Maybe you don't have to smile so sad. Laugh when you're feeling bad. I promise I won't.
Those were the most dangerous roads that I had ever seen in my life. There was a risk of falling, the risk of never going back to my home. But we never stopped. Not because I was crazy. Okay, maybe I was. But mainly because we already crossed maximum distance and we didn't want to miss the chance of not seeing the top. Passing through numerous green and foggy Buddhist villages, crossing consistent life-threatening narrow passes. Finally, we reached the top. After a while, we returned from the peak and was on our way back to the hotel. It was dark and it was cold. While taking a U-turn in one of those steep turns, the driver could not control the car and suddenly we hit one of those road edging stones. Something like that. Because of the high speed of the car, it hit the second stone and it also fell down. Then came the third stone, after which our own fall from the hill was certain. But luckily, that third stone stopped our car. We came out of the car and saw our front tire hanging in the air. Our back tire was about 2 centimeters from falling. That 2 centimeters saved us from falling from the height of 3600 meters. We had just escaped our death. We were in shock. We sat quietly on the road in the middle of the night in -1 degree temperature. After 15 minutes, we started to feel the cold and the fear of getting attacked by the Himalayan cats. We stood up and called for help. After 2 hours, with the help of around 20 to 25 army soldiers, our car was recovered and we were back on the road. Finally, after 4 hours of ride downhill, I reached my hotel. Called my family and friends, told them how much I appreciate their presence in my life and how much I love them. And unknowingly from that night, I started liking myself more than ever. These travel events and stories doesn't define who I am, but they allowed me to question my understanding of life. Our life in this tiny planet called Earth, which is our world to us. I think about universe sometimes and I imagine how big it is and how small we are relative to it. And that makes me curious about my existence, the purpose of my existence. What difference this small life of mine will ever make in such an infinite creation that we call universe. I don't think I had any purpose when I was born. I was just a piece of living creature in a planet. A planet that provides elements necessary for the survival of species like me. My mom and dad had me because they had a desire to have a baby in their life. They worked on it, and after 9 months, there I was. Maybe my purpose was to give a smile on my parents' face when I was born. But who knows? Maybe everybody has a purpose. Maybe I have too. The more I think this idea of having a purpose seriously, the more I assume things. And making assumptions is no good. I think life is about... Wait, I don't know what life is about. Because life has so many elements and it's very complex. It's huge. So I don't give a shit about what my purpose in life is and what the hell life is all about. I just know that I have a life and I'll try to live and leave it the best way possible. See, there are some things in life that I cannot control. Like, I cannot control if someone dies or if the ice cream parlor is closed. But most of the time, we being sad is an outcome of our inability to handle certain things. Things that we can control. And I think if you take care of those things, you will have a good life. As far as I have learned, happiness and fulfillment are two things that can make our life easy. You know how to get happiness, don't you? By doing things that you have access to. I mean, all those usual things in your daily life that makes you happy, that makes you feel good. Like playing games, watching movies, partying, traveling, listening to music, etc. etc. But how to get fulfillment? For a human being, it's very natural to crave for things like achievement, praise, importance, and recognition. And that's one good way to get fulfillment, which will also ultimately makes you feel good and makes you happy. Making a goal and working on it to get it is a good way of getting fulfilled in life. Life is dynamic, so everything keeps changing, your inside and outside. So you have to keep working on your goals and you have to keep yourself occupied with one thing or other. If you are not occupied with anything, that's when the things starts to get loose. And that's why I think taking responsibilities in life can take you to new places. Personally, I want to live my life happily and work on my life goals. Not everything, but the things that matters to me. I could have died that night from falling, but I did not. Next time, I might not get the chance. And because my life is so short and unexpected, hence, I don't want to complain or cry about anything that I don't have. Instead, I will work for it. Work so hard that I get it. And even if I don't get it and die in the middle of it, I won't regret it because I gave my best.